Jenny, in Ipswich, according to Evelyn, Boris Johnson was a complete and utter failure as a Prime Minister. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm astonished at the terminology. In fact, I'm hearing this afternoon, Sangita, and in fact, to the extent I'm surprised it's allowed. When I'm hearing adjectives, descriptions, characterisations as evil, liar, I think it's insulting, it's wrong. And yes, I do want Boris back, and I do think Boris is the right man for the job. I'll just quickly relay, Sheree, about the important things, three,
please.
I call it. We're talking about the vaccine rollout. I know it's been discussed today, I've heard it. Very, very important and increasingly important. So when we're going to get our jabs and we're going to go and get our, top-ups, we have to think back as to why we've got a top-up. And we're safe and we're fine because of that. Let's talk about Brexit. Brexit was done. It was a poison chalice, as I've said before. The previous government couldn't do it. They didn't know what to do with it. Whether it's completely been achieved is another matter. It's been done. Let's also talk about Ukraine. Boris Johnson should have been allowed to finish off his being a Prime Minister for the next couple of years. Okay? And in regards to all these other people, let's see what's in their closet. Let's see where they've gone wrong, and let's talk about their lives, shall we? And I don't think it's very polite to discuss about what people look like. And I don't switch off. In fact, I switch on. And I'll tell you why I switch on, Sangita, because he's one of the very few politicians engaging. He's got the charisma. He's got the intellect. He's a well-read person. And I remember him through the COVID times, turning up every day. The other thing I'd like to mention, please, is that he was actually in ITU, very close to death. Okay, very unwell. And not really once did he mention that, bring it up, or use it to sympathy at any point. In fact, I think the only time I heard it was recently when he talked about his sort of, if you like, his resignation speech in which he said thanks to people and he mentioned it himself. Okay, so that wasn't brought up. He actually lived through COVID. And in fact, if I remember, his wife, Carrie, wasn't able to see him either. She had to write letters and do things like that from afar, remotely. So I think that Boris Johnson's got a very good handle on COVID, because I think that, as you can probably agree, experience is important, isn't it?
Yeah. Jenny, interesting. I think you probably heard me say I'm sort of quite concerned about some of the hyperbole around Boris Johnson. And I think as a result, I think it's much better to stick to kind of a list of things, specific things that one might have a problem with, which is what I was doing. So I absolutely agree with you on that point.
I've given you my list, Sangita, and I've told you it's the golden three for me, which are very important. We've got the vaccine, we've got the Brexit, we've got Ukraine, which is very, very much ongoing.
Can I just mention one thing? You said something very interesting, and I just want to ask you about it quickly before we go to the news. You said you really object when people call him a liar.
Absolutely.
But what people will say is they will call him a liar because it's proven that he has lied. And they will talk about things like, for example, let me just put this to you.
Go ahead.
He would often use the phrase, we have an oven-ready deal to get us out of Brexit. It's an oven-ready deal. It will deliver huge amounts of cash to spend on the NHS, and we are ready to go. And of course, what happened was he prorogued Parliament. It was passed. The legislation was passed. But actually, it's been an incredibly messy out. And that actually that fundamentally was a lie, that it wasn't an oven-ready deal, and he shouldn't have said it.
Yes, and the fact that we are out, aren't we? We were out. And if it wasn't for Boris, we wouldn't even be out at all. So whether it was completely oven ready or maybe it was part baked.
You don't accept it was a lie.
And that is
your
something
point.
that my point is that Theresa May couldn't get it oven ready. She couldn't even get it half oven ready. And may I say about this party business, I have been, if you don't mind, because this is what we keep hearing, the parties. He wasn't actually found in a restaurant in somebody else's house, whipping it up. He was within his own walls of his working/home environment.
But he broke lockdown rules, and that's why he was fined by the Metropolitan Police. He was found to have broken the law. That's not up for debate, Jenny.
I think quite right. But maybe technically, but I think if you spoke to somebody, where was he breaking these rules? He was essentially breaking it within his work environment. All of those so-called, as you say, fines that he's got related to where was he? He was in his own building. So he wasn't found somewhere out, somebody's house, in a restaurant, in a hotel,
but it's not the point. The point that people will say and make, and frankly I agree with, is that he was a Prime Minister of the country. He was making the rules and then he was found to be breaking them. And the point is he lied about it, and he did lie about it repeatedly.
I don't think he lied about it, because I think, as I've just stated, this individual, had COVID, B, was in ITU and very poorly. I think he had a very full and personal understanding of COVID and the risks. And he was found to be breaking the law within his own building environment.
Correct. So you admit that he broke the law. So you admit that he broke the law, Jenny. You just said it.
No, I think it may be reasonable to suggest to some that in his mind, he was within his bubble environment.
Okay, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree, mostly because of the news is coming up. And also, I would suggest that the man who made the law, who set the law, who was telling us to stick by the law, knew that he was breaking the law. Jenny in Ipswich, thank you very much for your call. You're listening to Sangita Myska on LBC. It is 3:32, time for the news headlines with Simon Morgan.